Happy Wednesday. Welcome to the Scoop World Order presented by Buffalo Wild Wings and Twin Peaks, two of our wonderful partners that we have on here. Guys, season is kicking back off this Saturday for the Bucks. Nebraska is coming in off of getting smashed by Indiana, so this will be a nice get-right game for the Buckeyes. Again, the Cornhuskers are coming to town. I think that this defense is going to be in a lot of trouble. I'm talking about Nebraska's when our offense takes the field. Lathan Ransom, it looks like he's going to miss this week. He is day-to-day, according to Ryan Day. But I also think that this is probably closer to week. Suffered an injury last week during the bye week. Initially feared to be a broken foot, but it is something where he's dinged. But it's not a season ender, which is great. So good for Lathan, but he's been snake bit. So hopefully we can get him back soon. Be interesting to see who we roll back there. Lorenzo Salles Jr. seems to be the chalk at this point. But you also have got Malik Hartford. You've got Jordan Hancock. Interesting to see how they structure the defense with Lathan out. We're going to get into this show tonight. As always, we appreciate you guys. Special thank you to our service men and women, the people that take care of us, our active military, our retired military, our people that are abroad, along with our police officers, our firefighters, our first responders. Thank you guys for all that you guys do. You guys do not get thanked enough, but we try to thank you as often as possible here on BuckeyeScoop.com is one of our core values. We appreciate you guys, and thank you guys so much for all that you guys do. Again, our Paid Forward program has been a massive success thanks to you guys that give to the Super Chats and give to the Paid Forward program. Directly funds enabling us to basically give comp memberships to our great members of our armed forces and our police officers, and we signed up a bunch more this weekend. So thank you guys for taking advantage of that, and thank you guys for donating that in the season of giving. We appreciate that very much. Again, it's a great little gesture you can do to show your appreciation for what these people do for our country, especially in this time of turmoil. And again, I think that people don't respect the badge the way that they need to, but we do. And again, we do our part to make sure that you guys know that we really appreciate you. If you guys enjoy our content, please leave us a like, click subscribe, also click the little alert bell. Again, we've been doing kind of a free fundraising drive to try to grow our Apple Podcasts and our Spotify platforms, and you guys have been helping us tremendously. Again, if you guys have not done that, it is super easy to do. Get on your iPhone, click on search for podcasts, click on the app, type in Buckeye Scoop, click subscribe. It takes maybe 40 seconds to do round trip. It's completely free. It helps us out tremendously. So thank you guys for doing that. As always, again, it's such a huge help for us as we try to, keep this thing, we keep everything free on here. Obviously, we've got our premium concierge membership on BuckeyeScoop.com. But we want to keep everything where it is. And then you guys are helping us grow it. And helping us, be driven to go every day, frankly. I mean, this is something that's been fantastic for us and fantastic for the crew. You guys get to know each other. So this will be a great show tonight. We're super excited about it. We got a lot of intel over the last few days. So I'm going to get into it right now. My good friend Nevadabuck, Nevada, the defense has been a little spicy. I've lived this when our defense did not perform well. The head coach would generally leave the offensive room and head over to the defensive room for the week, and Ryan Day did that during the bye week. That is not fun. It's kind of like having the drill sergeant looking over your shoulder during PT, but that's where we're at. So again, I think that there's going to be some big time changes. What are some of the things you're hearing? What do you expect this week as we get ready for the Nebraska Cornhuskers?
Well, I expect it's under pressure. I mean, and I know Ohio State. Some Ohio State fans will roll their eyes or say whatever, but I'm telling you, teams can change. Teams can change their approach. Team can change their philosophy. We've got the guys to do it. They just need to be unleashed and be allowed to do it. And that seems to have been the message of the week. This fundamental core return to a more aggressive style of defense. And we'll see. And, I pointed out earlier that a team like Georgia, I think they came into the Texas game averaging like one sack a game or some ridiculous number, and then they rolled out 7. So teams can do it. You can change your philosophies. You can change your approach. You can amp up the pressure. And Ryan Day is bound and determined to do that. And I to me, if you wanted to sum up, the defensive changes, the massive changes that are going to come to the defense this week, it's all about pressure and bringing pressure in creative ways, bringing pressure in creative directions. Confounding the fronts up front and not being. They took that that whole thing about being an antiquated defense thing. I mean, they took that personal, and people can go roll their eyes and be like, well, Nick Saban said it, and it was, that's right, and blah 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 blah. When you get called out like that, it's, I think for Ryan, it kind of cut deep, and for the guys, they've been begging to be unleashed and be, allowed to rush in more aggressive ways. We've talked about inside rushing. We've talked about spinning. We've talked about stunting. We talked about twisting. We talked about all sorts of different things. Now, as I say this, we'll go out there on Saturday and just cage rush us forward and be like, no, but I'm telling you, they're gonna bring the pressure, and I do believe that Ryan has given them the freedom, because what Ryan has said to them is, I understand that this may result in more big plays. I understand this may result in more explosive plays, but that's a trade-off that I am willing to live with. And so when you give that type of freedom to your defensive coaches, I think the natural, they understand the mandate. They've been given the mandate from the boss as to how he wants them to play, and now they got to go out and do it. And whether people know it or not, our defensive front four is really, really talented. I mean, Tyleek and Ty and Jack and JT those are all four guys that are going to play in the NFL for a long time. And, they just have to be given the freedom to do the kind of stuff that they need to do to, make it a little bit harder on offensive lines to contain them. And we'll see. But the new era of Ohio State defense starts Saturday. So we'll see we'll all know by Saturday afternoon what the results are. We can talk about it on the post game show. Do I think it's going to be blitz every play? And no, I don't think it's going to be that. But I think you'll be able to tell, much like you could tell when Chip Kelly took over the offense. I said the differences would be palpable. You'd be able to look at it and go, okay, this just feels different. Well, that's what I'm telling you. It's going to be on defense. The difference is it'll just feel different. And there's a little bit of trepidation on my part about this, just because, whether people want to believe it or not, the defense has been is good. I mean, really, really good. Over the last 19 games, number one in the country in yards, points, and points per play. So it's not like we're far away. It's not like we're 56th and trying to find some sort of scheme that works. I mean, we've got talented guys, and we've been able to shut teams down and hold them. We held Oregon to 10 points in the second half, and we've been able to make adjustments and do the right things. So it's not like people are just walking through our defense. But I think this is the kind of evolution you need to take your defense, from good to playoff great. And I think you need negative plays, especially against elite teams. And we'll see this Saturday. Under pressure, I'm going all in on that. I'm pushing all my chips in on that, and we can talk about a post game. But I think we'll all be able to see the difference.
Yeah, I mean, I spent the day. I work all day, and while I'm working, I've got some all 22 going in on my little projector, and I'm watching Georgia, Texas, because I'm sitting there and I'm like, what did Georgia do that was so, confusing, or how did they get home? How did they create pressure? How did they create sacks? And honestly, they did some exotic stuff. They did some, and they're more of a 3-down team than we are. We're a 4-down team. And when I say 4-down linemen, 2 ends, 2 D tackles, they like to have a stand-up guy usually, and then either they usually have a big D tackle and then like a smaller end, and then like kind of a bigger end that can play inside or play 3 technique when they move them around. They move their front. It's very multiple. But they would go with a 3-down look, and they'd shift late, and it was almost like they were looking at the play clock. And when the play clock was at 5, they would yell shift, and then they'd run down into basically 6 guys across the line of scrimmage, and they would either blitz or drop out. The one time they brought a corner blitz, and again, it was a pretty obvious corner blitz because the corner was completely inside the receiver, pressed, and his head was turned in looking at the ball. Now, if you're playing press versus, Isaiah Bond, who's maybe the top 5 wide receiver in the country, you're probably going to want to look at him if he's supposed to be nose up on you and you're supposed to jam him and get him off his timing. But this guy's literally got his head inside it, and I'm just like, I know Texas's O-line coach is their O coordinator, and he probably makes $5 million a year. And I'm like, you guys have never told these tackles to look at the safeties and the corners, because if a corner's looking at the ball, he's coming, he's blitzing. Now, they didn't run the safety the way most teams do, but I was watching this, and a lot of it, honestly, was more Texas having mental errors and screwing up and blowing protections and kind of being in Never Never Land than it was just Georgia just physically destroying guys. Again, I think when people say, well, Georgia had 7 sacks, and again, 13 from Georgia, he's legit, and I think he had 3 sacks, but 2 of them, one he literally didn't get blocked by anybody. It was a complete blow by the tight end where he was coming across the pattern, and he's supposed to touch him or bump him and then release out into like the flat, and he doesn't even touch him. So he comes off the edge and he's looking around and there's no one blocking him, and he goes and sacks Quinn. The one time he does get their left tackle, it was a legit move, it was a good play. And then there was another time where the tackle was expecting the running back to chip. And a chip is where the running back comes up on your side and kind of gives you a shoulder. And guys that are explosive could put a guy on his, like, decleat a guy by doing that, because you get a good kill shot, you get a rib shot. Ends don't like to be chipped. But when you're an offensive tackle and you're expecting a guy to chip on your outside shoulder, I always would tell guys, I'm like, look, you got to expect that the DN's going to spin. When he sees a running back coming to his side, it looks like he's about to chip. Those guys like to spin inside to dodge the rib shot, from the running back's helmet or the running back's shoulder pad. But this tackle set like for the spin, and like he was ready for the chip, and the back missed the chip. Which again, I played with some backs that were the worst chip blockers in the world. I'm not going to name names, but I told our offensive coordinators that don't let these guys. I don't want these guys to ever chip on my side again. Like ever. Like a chip is generally to help a tackle, but our chippers were so bad that they would hurt me. Like it was actually worse. So I said, just let me man block these guys and I'll just erase them. It'll be fine. But I was more disappointed in Steve Sarkisian and their offensive staff, because I couldn't believe that they let Georgia, obviously, they got very familiar with Texas's cadence, their snap count, and they never changed it. So, Georgia is like teeing off, and then they're also, they're waiting until the end of the shot clock to snap the ball, the play clock. And I'm like, if I'm seeing that and I'm the play caller, I'm saying, guys, let's go tempo. Let's tempo these guys. If these guys want to wait and disguise stuff and hold it till the last second, let's tempo them. Screw it. They won't be allowed to do that. Like, let's get them out of that. You get them out of that so quick. And Texas never did it. They just sat back there and took their sweet, Texas sweet tea time back there. And, poor Quinn got killed. Oh my God. I mean, the cornerback shot was like a season ender, because that was right to his back, not expecting it, because, quarterbacks that are smart, and Quinn's razor sharp, they know where they have protection and where they don't. That's called the slide side and then the hot side. The hot side is where, hey, we've only got 2 guys, and if 3 guys rush, you got to throw it off the 3rd guy. So, but on his backside, he thought he was completely covered, and his backside completely let him down and got him killed. So, I don't... Like, is Georgia Goliath? Because, again, I know everybody gets scared of Georgia. I know a lot of Ohio State fans are nervous and they're sitting in their basements scared to death of Georgia. But, like, I'm not scared of Georgia. Now, again, if we play like Texas played, they played terrible. And again, they weren't ready to go. I think they were reading, their magazine covers, and they're too busy filming Instagram videos to get ready to go versus Georgia. And Georgia was the opposite. Georgia had been beaten to death because they gave up 8 million yards versus Alabama, and they lost on the last play of the game. And the Georgia Bulldogs are dead. And again, when you're dealing with kids, a lot of whom aren't very smart, they can be very impressionable. And so when you tell them they're great, then all of a sudden they let off the gas a little bit. And when you tell them they suck, they harden up and they get battle tested. And again, a guy like Kirby Smart knows how to spin that, it was us against the world and nobody ever respected us, or, nobody ever gave us a chance. Or I'm like, dude, you're the preseason #1 team and you guys screwed the pooch versus Alabama. So it ain't like you guys are, nobody ever expected us to ever do anything, and it was us versus everybody. And I'm like, no, it's just, come on, you can't play that card when you're Georgia. You can play when you're Vanderbilt, not Georgia. But I think our defense, again, if you let these ends spin, you let these guys do some games, you rotate some guys a little bit. Again, you can't have Tyreek and Ty play 50 plays. And again, I would hold the scholarship checks of the backup defensive tackles until they prove that they can actually wear the Ohio State jersey. Because for some of these guys, you got to understand, it's not enough just to wear the jersey and run out of the tunnel and take photos with your mom after the game. Some of you guys got to start producing. You aren't freshmen anymore, and they know who they are. I don't need to name them. But, to have Tyreek out there playing 50 plays it's malpractice. But On the flip, if you're Larry Johnson and all these young guys don't want to play, or they're not any, they don't want to play hard, they don't want to play physical, they don't want to stop the run, then you're kind of stuck. So again, like if I'm Jack Sawyer and I'm in that room, like I would just say, guys, you guys don't get scholarship checks until you guys start playing. You guys can go hit the portal, go do whatever. I'm not going to hurt any feelings because, I mean, hell, if we're only going to have 4 guys play, then just travel 4 guys. Screw it. Leave the rest of those guys home and save the bus fare, save the airplane ticket. Because again, that's what's killing our defense right now. So we got 4 guys that got to play 60 plays a game. So when they're like, oh, we can't rush the passer. I'm like, well, you go rush the passer when you're going against Oregon's spread tempo. And then you're like, oh, well, they'll rush the passer on 3rd down. You got to stop the run 2 downs. So, again, I'm disappointed in our backup defensive line because, again, those guys at some point got to decide that they want to play football or not. And they got to decide, hey, we shouldn't have our 350-pound senior who came back playing 50 plays because we're so bad that we can only manage 2 snaps a game. And when we're in there, we get mollywopped. So again, at some point, some guys got to have some pride, and you can't just you can't beat Jack Sawyer and JT Tumalo out and Tyleek and Tyone. Because again, I watched Georgia and I watched Bama and I watched us, and like our starting front 4 is better than Georgia's. And you guys can write that on every message board and say Kirk's been out, he's been in happy hour, he's been having some cocktails, whatever. No, I'm not. I'm bone sober, and I know what my eyes see. And again, I talked to some big time NFL guys. I was that big time guy yesterday. He loves Tyleek, loves Jack Sawyer, loves their pressure rate, loves how many quarterback hits they get. He's like, in our system, when we rotate those guys and they can do what we want them to do, oh, they're going to tear it up. It'll be great. Now, right now, they can't do anything because they're dead. But, again, you don't see Myles Garrett and Nick Bosa and TJ Watt and they don't play 75 plays a game. Our guys have to. So, again, schematically, it's time to let these guys go a little bit. And it's time for these young guys to play. And again, the thing that everyone's going to watch is Denzel Burke going to come back? Because Denzel, I think his biggest fault is he's a really sharp kid. And in football, that can be good and bad. Because if you're a really sharp kid, sometimes you can't forget stuff, like getting torched and getting beat to death by our fan base and beat to death and worried about your draft grade and draft stock and everything else. But, that's life in the big city. I mean, Denzel's going to be the guy to watch in Davison and, because those guys, I mean, you go watch, there's an Oregon documentary thing that they did for Ohio State Week where they're behind the scenes and they're with Dan Lanning and they're in the team meetings. And he says, we're going to throw it over their heads. We don't think that they've seen anything like our guys. And you know what? He was right. Our guys were feeling themselves a little too much and they got torched. So again, it's on them to figure out if they want to be great or if they just want to be average. And again, and there's no reason our secondary shouldn't be the best in the country, but after these guys got their, they got kicked around at Altson, it's time to see what these guys can do. Nevada, you have any thoughts? We're starting to get some super chats in.
Yeah, no, I mean, look, that's that was well said, well said for sure. I think for the guy that this bye week was the longest for was for Denzel. I mean, he's had 14 days or what? By the time he gets back there to play, he'll have been 14 days since that disaster, and he's had to live it every day and not have a chance to kind of get that bad taste out of his mouth. And we're all going to be seeing. I mean, he's going to be tested because when you show a vulnerability like that, teams will test it. And for Nebraska, that's probably if you look at Nebraska's win equity or even how can they even stay close in the game, it's going to be we have to throw it over the Ohio State defensive back's head. Specifically, we got to attack Denzel Burke. And I mean, that's going to be their play. So he's going to get tested early and often. And while we can talk all we want about the pressure, on a lot of those plays Denzel got burnt on, the ball was coming out pretty quickly. So I don't care how many guys you rushed. If the ball comes out that quickly, Denzel cannot allow it to go over his head for a touchdown. I mean, it wasn't like Dylan Gabriel was sitting back there for 9 seconds, scanning the field, and then Denzel just got tired because the guy was running around for so long and went past, he lost his guy. I mean, that ball was snap, look, pass, over his head, touchdown. So Denzel's got to figure that out. He's a talented kid. I think having watched Ohio State football for a long time, what I can say with absolute certainty is that everybody has one of those days. Everybody has one of those days. And, that was Denzel's day. Now, do I think he'll be better for it? I absolutely believe it. Do I think he learned something? For sure he did. And so, we'll see. Yeah, I'm optimistic. What's the old saying? That doesn't kill you makes you stronger. In this case, this loss hardly killed Ohio State. I mean, what do we fall all the way to 3 or whatever it is in the country? So 3, 4. I mean, if there ever was something that could be, refocusing, causing guys to, kind of look inside themselves and challenge themselves to be better, it's something like that happened, at Allison Stadium. So, yeah, I'm really excited. I feel like this is almost like the second opener for Ohio State. And I'm really excited to see this game because I think we're going to see a different style of defense, and we're going to see how those guys can adjust to adversity. And I'm excited for it. So let's get it on.
Yeah, I'm excited to see, if Lorenzo Salas Jr. makes his first start at safety in place of Lathan. That'll be exciting. If someone's going to get to make their first career start back there, or maybe their second. I think Malik Hartford might have had one if he ends up getting the draw. But, they're going to rotate those guys and see who can play. And again, with Denzel, I'm not being hard on Denzel. I think Denzel's a great kid, great family. His dad's a great guy. Know him well. But, it's one of those things where this is, I think this could be the best moment of his career because every NFL personnel person is going to see how does this kid respond. Because when you go to the show, guess what? You're gonna be out there. You're gonna draw Justin Jefferson, and he's gonna have 10 catches for 170 yards and 2 touchdowns, and you're gonna get beat to death by whatever fan base drafts you, and you're gonna have those days. Everyone, if you've played football at a level of the Big Ten, the SEC, then the NFL, everybody has had those days. And then the key is, can you bounce back? Can you recover? Or how is Denzel going to handle it? Is he going to run? Is he going to go belly down? Because again, that's something I'm not going to name names, but there were some guys a guy pulled himself out of the game at the end of the Oregon game. And I was like, okay, it's mental check for me. I was like, where'd this guy go? He's not on the film anymore. Oh, he had a boo-boo, couldn't play. So again, I think Denzel's guy, I would be just couldn't wait to play. Because again, I had bad games. I'm not God. I went out there and there were games where I was like, man, I wish we would have had that back, or the offense didn't play well, or I didn't play well, or whatever. And I couldn't wait to play the next week. It's like being disgusting and taking a nice shower and getting cleaned up. Because I'm telling you, there's nothing that's worse than when you don't put your best foot forward, or that you have a couple plays that you wish you could have back, or whatever. And you just can't wait to get out there. I couldn't wait to get out to practice. And again, I hated football practice. You understand? I was not a guy that was I wasn't Tim Tebow who dreams of 2-a-days. No, I hated practice because I was so hard on myself, and I was so much pressure and so much because I wanted to be perfect. So when I was done playing football, I was like, thank God. Now I can just enjoy the game and study it the way I love it. And it's not every day. And plus, you got to understand, when I was a senior, I'm playing Vern Golson and Cam Hayward every day. So it's if you want to take a day off or not have a great day, then you're gonna look terrible on film. Because the beauty about football, man, is you practice, and then as soon as you're done, you go inside to meetings, and then you watch practice. So you get to get doubly abused by your coach if you decide to have a bad day. But like I said, I'm excited to see Denzel. I know Jack and JT are raring to go. I think JT and Jack are phenomenal ends. And I know everyone's going to roll my eyes and think I'm some Buckeye homer, but I watch what they do on tape. And again, I emphasize for them because they don't get a break ever. The fact that those two guys played every snap versus Notre Dame. I brought that up yesterday. I was talking to an NFL guy, and I was like, I've never seen anything like that. That they should get a gold medal for doing that, because I don't think any end in the history of Ohio State football has done that, except maybe in the 40s or 50s where guys went both ways. But, I think they're twitched up. I think that JT is lighter than he got here, because I think he's so obsessed with trying to get to the quarterback, and he looks really quick. And again, if they let this guy hit a spin move, God bless. He's going to get to the quarterback. And Jack, going into the Oregon game, led the nation in quarterback hits. So when I was talking to some NFL people, they're talking about their pressure rates are really good. And again, a lot of these NFL teams are analytical guys, and they're like, here's the thing. If they only have 2 sacks or whatever it is, 3 sacks, if the pressure rate is high, which it actually is, I know that none of you guys are going to believe me, and you're going to think that, Kirk is mythical. No, it's I was talking a really good personnel guy, and he's they've got good pressure rates. So that means that it's going to come. It means that it's kind of like, they know the sacks will come, especially you go to the NFL, man, these quarterbacks hold the ball way longer in the NFL, way longer. And that's why you see these guys get 7, 8 sacks. I mean, imagine Jack Sawyer versus like Deshaun Watson, where he holds the ball for 10 seconds and gets sacked 7, 8 times every week. So, I think that it's going to be interesting. And again, I love Tyreek. Again, Georgia doesn't have a Tyreek. I promise you. I might be the biggest Tyreek fan in the world, and I feel terrible because as big as he is, he should not be playing that many plays. It's not because he's not good. It's just because big guys like that don't play 50 plays. They play 35. If he played 35, he'd probably get double the output. But they just don't have they're holding him hostage. Again, I would teach Cade McDonald is pretty much traditionally just a nose guard, and the difference is that's Ty Hamilton. The nose guard plays over the center, kind of in the gap between the guard and the center, and that's what Caden plays. And I think Caden is by far. And again, when I'm beating on these backup D tackles, I'm generally not talking about Caden, because when Caden gets in there, he's a force. He's disruptive. He needs to play more. And frankly, I think he's the guy that they should probably play at 3 technique too. And if you give either of those guys a blow, just put him in. Now, I know you probably can't do that this middle of the season, teach him a new position, but he's disruptive at both spots. I'm talking more of the other guys that they just, they dress out, and then I don't even think that they get their gloves dirty in the game because they never put their hand on the ground. But I'm excited to see these guys. I'm excited to see the pressure packages. I think that be interesting to see if they study Georgia. I mean, again, I'm not saying to steal what Georgia does, but they do some good stuff. But you have to understand, like, some of the stuff Georgia does isn't sound. So when you're on defense that isn't sound, then all of a sudden, guess what? When you play Bama, they shred you. You look like an idiot. So it's a give and take. And again, I think Texas, this is going to sound crazy. I still think Texas is better than Georgia, even though they just lost to Georgia. I thought Texas played horrifically bad. And again, their left tackle's a good player. He just, there were just some weird things. And I think Quinn is trying to gut through it, and he's hurt. He's not playing well. And again, it's not because I'm a Quinn Ewers fan. I have eyeballs, and I watched his tape from Michigan and I watched his tape from Georgia, and it didn't look like the same guy at all. So, again, I give Georgia credit. I give Kirby Smart credit. I think that's, as good of a program as there is in football. I think their culture is terrible, but I think that in terms of getting a team motivated to play and go, take advantage of the moment, Georgia does a really good job at it. They're consistent, they're tough, and they're super talented on defense. That being said, they still got torched by Bama. So, and Mississippi State and all these other teams. So again, that's not like it's King Kong out there, and we should just be scared to death if we draw the Georgia Bulldogs in the playoffs. I would love to play Georgia with Will Howard and JJ and Quinshawn Judkins. Are you kidding me? I'd take them all day, any day. But we have to play smart. And I think if you put Chip Kelly versus Georgia's defense, I think Chip would have something for them, especially with Chip's tempo background, because I think that's their kryptonite. Nevada, any thoughts? And we'll start digging into some super chats.
No, and I think an important point that people have to remember is, when Kirby Smart started at Georgia, he didn't do good right away. And,
no, he was Ryan. He was Ryan Day. He's the same guy.
He's the same guy, and
they hated him.
They wanted him. He was Kirby not so smart, and he couldn't win the big game, and all this other stuff. And now it's funny how we talk about him now, and rightfully so, as the best coach in college football, and because he got that first natty, and he was able to push through, and they stuck with him. And like you said, they got lousy culture, but man, they win football games. Well, Ryan Day's got it all. We've got academics, we've got recruiting, we've got fundraising, we've got NIL, we've got everything going at a high level, and we're knocking on the door of those things. And look, we should have beat Georgia 2 years ago, if not for the horrific pickup. And I hate to be the guy blaming the rest, but I still don't know how they picked up the penalty on the Marvin Harrison shot to the head that was called a penalty on the field. It would have been 1st and goal for the one, and you go up 18 at that point or whatever it is, and the game's over. I mean, we've been really, really close. We're knocking on the door of the championships. So for the fans, man, just stick with it, because Ryan is close, and if Ryan can push through, man, he could go on a mini dynastic run, because all the pieces are in place. And just look to Kirby Smart as evidence. But Kirby wasn't a finished product when he started. Neither was Ryan. But Ryan's getting there, working through it, and getting better. So stick with it.
Yeah, like I said, I know this is crazy, and I know people are going to say, Kirk, you're off your rocker like usual, but like, I don't think that this loss is going to end up hurting us in the long term. I just don't. I think that this is something where, again, I've been on a team that went undefeated until the last game, and I look back and I'm like, God bless. If that team could have lost the game at some point and still made it to the ship, I think that it's better. I just do. And again, there's moments in football seasons where, again, look at Georgia. Georgia loses to Bama. They get mollywopped, give up 42 points or 41, whatever it was. Like, they give us 80-yard touchdown to a 17-year-old at the end, and the Georgia dynasty is dead, and Kirby's dumb, and players are all, a bunch of lunatic, drunk drivers and whatever. And it's just like, guys, like, so Georgia sits back and and I'm sure Kirby beat the tar out of those kids in practice, mother effed them to death in practice, got everything recalibrated. And then they go into Austin and they beat Texas, and again, now it's up to Texas. Texas, again, number one in the country. Everybody in the world's come to the game, 1-3 game, biggest game in the stadium in a long time. And they spit the bit. Because again, I just don't think that they were ready to play mentally. There's too many mental errors, too many layups. Again, they gave Georgia a lot easy pressures. Again, a lot of sacks, and again, not every sack is some amazing Dwight Freeney spin move or some J.J. Watt bull rush or some Reggie White hump move or some Von Miller dip and rip thing. It's a lot of it is just the offense screws up. The O-line leaves guys unblocked. Like on the 4th and 10, like the second to last drive that Texas had, they shift into the 6-man look where they bring 6 guys. It's cover 0. And the guard doesn't block the interior guy. So as soon as the ball snapped, the linebacker's running right at Quinn like this. And Quinn has to kind of ephus ball it. And he completed it, but the guy fell down short of the marker because he had to dive for it. And, in college, if you dive and you hit the ground, the play's over. It's not like the NFL where they have to touch you. So, again, that was a misassignment by Texas. So, again, when you guys watch pressure and sacks, again, this is not me. I'm not letting Ohio State off the hook. But a lot of it is just confusing the offense, the offensive line, the quarterback, and figuring out, again, it was malpractice what Texas's offensive staff was doing to these kids, because if Kirby Smart and his defense want to shift at the last second, and they did it 7 times on 3rd down, you got to eventually say, guys, they like to do this shift into this pressure look. Eventually you're like, let's go fast on this 3rd down. Let's go tempo. Let's not sit around and play the violin in the backfield, and then all of a sudden they have time to do what they want to do. Because again, the offense dictates the speed, it's not the defense. But Texas, Steve Sarkisian, who again is the smartest offensive, again, I always listen to how great Sark is, and he's the greatest genius guru offensive mind in the history of the world and scheme. But I know that, and I'm a podcast guy. I mean, come on, dude. You're better than that. Again, if they want to do all that shifting and stuff, and again, Jim Bowman, who people hated as much as any coordinator in the history of mankind, had him and Tress in 06. We're getting ready to play Michigan. Michigan did all this sub stuff, all this blitz and disguise, and you never knew where it was coming from in 06. And they said, you know what? We're going to go spread. We're going to go 5 wide receivers. Because when you do that, you can't disguise anything, because you got to go cover those guys. You can't say, well, is the safety coming, or is it the backside linebacker? Is it the 2 inside line? Is it the Sam and the Mike or whatever? No, we said, no, we're just going to go spread. And we'd never gone spread before. We looked like Texas Tech to start the game. And they were absolutely flabbergasted because, again, they couldn't run any of their pressure stuff because of what we were doing. So, again, you got to counterbalance what the defense is doing, especially as you get into the game. You say, okay, this is clearly what they're doing on 3rd down. I'm going to go back and watch the Bama game again to see how much of that they were showing versus Bama, or if this was all new stuff. But they did it every 3rd down, and Texas never really adjusted, and they had 3 different looks that they did, and they worked. So, again, that's on the offensive staff. They got to make adjustments. All right, let's dig into some more stuff. Super chats. Michael Jarrett, thank you for the 5. Was on what was on Spears' Twitter about scum? I don't have Twitter. Nevada OH.
I
didn't see it, but I talked to you about it, Nevada. Nevada, you could kind of explain it, and we got, I think, a little bit more on our text stream than he put out on Twitter, in my opinion. But what was your opinion of that?
Yeah, I mean, basically, Justin feels like he's been able to confirm and he's all about confirmation, sources, evidence, things that people seem to forget about in these days in 2024. But he seems to have sourced it up to trace the money that funded Stallions and who it came from, and the fact that an official Michigan board was, board like as in um, oversight board, was aware of this and covered up his involvement in Stallions' scheme. So pretty significant stuff. And when Justin talks, I listen, because he has broken a bunch of stuff, including the biggest one of all. The Connor Stallions was on the sideline for the Central Michigan game, which is really, when you think about it, that's really one of the craziest things ever. And Justin was the guy who broke that. So he's clearly sourced up. He's got this. There's always been rumors about where the money came from for Stallions, but he seems to have traced exactly down. There were rumors about who it was. I think he believes he's confirmed, identified it, and Michigan's been involved in it. It was involved in a cover up of it. So pretty big news. And it'll be interesting to see how Justin rolls this stuff out. He definitely has his way of, he teases stuff on his Twitter account and on his Spaces, and then eventually he's gonna, he'll release something. But Justin's got the goods. If you're not following him on Twitter, you're really doing yourself a disservice, because his Twitter feed is fire for sure.
Nevada, is it bad if Michigan gets caught covering up the money that Connor Stallions has used to pay for the science stealing scandal? Is that bad in your mind?
Yeah, that would be bad. And we always knew that. Where did this money come from? Because you and I have talked about it 1,000 times. This was not an inexpensive operation. Buying these tickets and reimbursing these people, going around holding the cameras up for 4 hours, and travel and food. And I mean, this money had to come from somewhere. And the fact that it came from a person directly affiliated with the university, allegedly, and that they covered it up, allegedly. That would qualify as bad. But for Michigan, no, it's par for the course. I mean, we kind of knew this, but it's different to be knowing it and being able to prove it. And when Justin says he can prove it, I believe him.
So is that bad?
That would be bad. Yes,
that would be bad. So if they find out that Michigan was actually paying, because again, like I said, I've been a GA, and it's like, look, I was lucky I played in the NFL, so I wasn't like as poor as the other GAs are, but all the other GAs are, I mean, they're living in, 1-bedroom apartments with no cable and ramen noodles and stealing trail mix from the facility for dinner. And so it's like, they don't have much money to go out and spend it on, hey, let me get on Ticketmaster and spend $1,000 on two. Because again, you got to realize with this deal, like, you got to get low level tickets. Like, I mean, and by low level, I mean like you're low across from the bench, good sight lines. You can't have I would imagine, like, if Connor, who is, he's smart to himself, but he's really dumb to me. If he's getting this, he's got to think, well, I got to make sure that there's no Kirk Barton in the row in front of him standing up the whole game. So I got to make sure that it's good sight line, and probably I would imagine close to the railing, so that you're high up enough where you can see the signaler, but you don't have someone standing up in front of you. Because again, if you pay all that money and someone's trying to hold their iPhone for 3 hours and there's some guy standing up the whole time and you're shooting his the back of his hoodie, that ain't no good. So again, you got to pay a lot of money for lower level tickets to get into big games. Ohio State, Penn State, it's probably $500-$600, $1,000 a ticket. So it's like, if you're intern, I mean, he was making $50,000 in a year. So I mean, it's $4-ish a month, $4 and change. I mean, you're burning through all your money in one game ticket. And I'm sure that he was sending guys to multiple games on a weekend, because if Ohio State is 7 weeks out, but Michigan State is 2 weeks out, you're probably sending people to both games and spending $1,000, $2,000 on each. So again, the math just doesn't add up. So again, if you're stupid and you're Michigan fans, and again, they're as bad of an apologist group as I've ever seen. I mean, it's almost insane at this point. And I'm like, guys, like, I would just, again, if I ran that board of trustees and I was the president of that board, or regents or whatever they are, I'd be like, all right, look, can we just like let's get serious here. Like we screwed up, and let's just eat the cadoodle, and hopefully, I mean, honestly, if I was the president of the region, I'd say, let's just say, you know what we'll do? We're going to cancel the rest of the season. We're not going to play next season, and we'll see you guys in 2 years, and that could be our suspension, and then we're good. Because again, like they know what's coming down the pike here. Because it is going to be a cold winter in Ann Arbor, and when they take that trophy back, it's going to be absolutely delicious. I'm excited for it. Quinn Tucky, thank you for the 20. Is Ohio State going to unleash a true 3 technique on the outside? Missouri game and Oregon games. And watch how we lost contain Hubbard, trying to contain Lamar. Anybody? Well, a 3 technique, and again, I'm not trying to be a wise guy, but like a 3 technique is a defensive tackle who lines up on the outside shoulder of a guard. A 5 technique, or a 5 technique is the outside shoulder of the tackle. Sometimes they'll widen him out to a 9 technique and act like he's on the outside shoulder of a tight end. And again, I didn't make the football numbering system, so you don't come at me and tell me that should be a 7. In football world, that's a 9, where a guy's super wide on the outside shoulder of the tight end. I don't know why it's not a 7. A 7 is the inside shoulder of the tight end. Again, I didn't make the numbering system. So, our 3 technique is tie leak, and I don't know how you put a 3 technique on the outside. So I'm trying to use my AI brain to figure out what you're trying to ask. I think you're probably talking about maybe like a 9 technique, like a really wide defensive end.
I think he's talking about an outside 9. I think he's talking about an outside 9. But you need to dazzle us with football terminology now, Kirk. Talk about the outside 9 playing the monkey press. I don't like
to do. I try to make it as simple as possible. And again, there are teams that like to play wide 9 techniques. So like the Brown, like Jim Schwartz, that was his thing for a while. They don't do that as much this year, but I don't know, because that really stresses your linebackers when because basically you have like a humongous gap between the 3 technique and then the 9 technique. So if a team wants to run a draw or something, you could be kind of up the creek, especially if you're only playing 2 linebackers. So that's kind of why we don't do it. I mean, I've seen them widen Jack out a little bit more when he's on the short side, but I think that you have to understand, like, the big reason why we rush the way we do in cage rush is because we want to keep the quarterback in the pocket, don't let him run around, keep him and let us try to affect him, push the pocket into his lap and have him make a bad throw. And in general, it's been pretty effective. So, but that's why you don't see a lot of spin moves and creativity. And again, watch the NFL. You see a lot of these really good passers just have a good spin move. And Georgia's guy had a good spin move. Their white linebacker that they brought in on 3rd down to be a pass rusher hit a couple of nice spins on their tackles. So again, that's going to be up to Jim Knowles. Because again, if you let a defensive end basically give up contain, you have to have someone that's a contain player. So I don't know if that's going to be, it's hard when the linebacker's dropping into coverage. I don't know if you're going to loop the defensive tackle out. But you can't just have a defense that doesn't have a contain player. That's like it's like leaving a wide receiver completely uncovered in a defense. Like, it's just not sound. So I think, but again, I love Sam Hubbard, but it's hard to fault Sam Hubbard trying to contain Lamar when Lamar runs like a 4-4. Like, I mean, I don't know if anybody can really contain Lamar on the edge, but that's just me. Nevada, your thoughts. Again, thanks for the 20, Kentucky. I hope I got that right. Let me know in the chat. I'll try to get it fixed. Ohio State is going to unleash a true 3 technique on the outside, which I think is a 9 technique. Like, I think you mean like a wide defensive end. Missouri game, Oregon games, and watch how many times they lost contain. Hubbard trying to contain Lamar. Anybody? You're probably thinking a 9. I think a 9 and be out wide and try to punch the tackle in and hold the edge like that, set the edge like that. What are your thoughts, Nevada?
Well, I think what Ohio State's going to try to do is present a variety of fronts, and it's so I think sometimes they'll play the outside 9. They'll play with those 2 defensive ends a little bit wider. But as you said, you can't do that as your base, because then how many times have we seen the quarterback draw? If you run that, the tight end kicks out the defensive end, and now all of a sudden you've got a guard and a center, going after your middle linebacker, and I mean, there's just all sorts of problems that can happen with that, and so I think for Ohio State, they're just going to try to create some uncertainty on the offensive front in terms of what is coming, and then bring it from a lot of different directions, bring it a lot of different ways. So I think you will see some wide nine, but you're going to see a lot of different things. That's the plan. Let's see it in action, and hopefully that the Jim Knowles experience starts on Saturday.
And if it doesn't, can we just yell at you and blame you for everything?
You can blame me all forever. You can blame me. Just blame Nevada. Nevada, you didn't run this, and I'm like, I can't call the plays, too. I just I just know what they practice. I can't call the plays. I'm sorry.
You said that our ends are good. I was like, they're both going to go in the first 2 rounds, so
they're gonna bring pressure, Matt. They are going to bring pressure. There is no world where they do not bring pressure. I'm just telling you. Everybody gets it. Everybody's on team pressure. It's just a question of, there may be some different schools of thought about how to bring it, but everybody understands they got to bring it. So everybody's on the same team. 100% team pressure forever.
I'm on team no. I don't want us to ever have pressure.
See, I knew it.
Ever.
I knew it.
I'm on team no.
Yep. The old offensive tackles. I don't like pressure. Yep. Pressure's mean. I don't like pressure.
I don't like it. Rush 2, drop 9, 70-yard touch. That's what I want. No pressure. Poe Panda, thanks for the deuce. Went to Justin Spiro at break yesterday. We talked about that. He talked about some of the funding that is going into the Michigan stuff.
Uncle T, Tom Smith, allegedly.
I've got a good photo of Uncle T's wife, and there she is.
Granny Hawkins.
Granny Hawkins.
Granny Hawkins. Oh man, Granny Hawkins should have been nominated for some sort of an Academy Award or something like that.
Oh my God!
One of the great characters in cinematic history. But that movie was so full of so many rich characters right there. You playing Ezekiel, the guy on the barge, pulling the barge. Pull the barge, Ezekiel.
She kind of looks like Jim Knowles a little bit.
She does.
Doesn't she? Could that be Jim Knowles' mom, Granny Hawkins? we gotta get Knowles. We gotta get Knowles a pumpkin on one of those pipes, and he's gotta get one of them hats too. We'd have to put a Nike swoosh. We'd have to get a Nike swoosh on it, or he'd get beat to death by the Nike rep. I'm sure though.
Well, that's what Granny Hawkins. She has one of the great lines. You know what that means? It's a bunch of doodle squat. So we got to put that on like one of our shirts when our next merch drop. Doodle squat.
Should we say, when we say that they're going to bring pressure, you know what that means? A bunch of doodle squat.
Exactly. That's what I was just thinking. That pressure talk, that's a bunch of doodle squat.
You said Knowles is going to be good. That's a bunch of doodle squat.
Doodle squat.
It's like Knowles took over the 100th rated defense from 2021 and turned it into top 5, and it's all doodle squat.
Come on, Granny Hawkins. How much screen time did she have? She had like 60 seconds of screen time, and everybody knows Granny Hawkins. I mean, that's one of the great characters of all time. Doodle squat.
She's like, who's the guy that gets? He's like, is it Luca Brasi, the guy that gets choked out in Godfather? Like he's choked out in the first 5 minutes of the movie. That's like the Granny Hawkins of Josie Wales.
Granny Hawkins. I love Granny Hawkins.
Larry Daniels, 1. Thanks for being ultra. Thanks for the 5. If none of the backups are ready to play, who's to blame? Recruiters, players, coaches. Really not one good enough to get in. Well, I mean, I think you gotta. It's kind of everybody. I mean, first I blame the players because again, I'm big on blaming the players, and you can call me an old hater, but there's some guys that they just kind of check out because they're not starting or they don't have the role that they want, and I think a lot of them, they're kind of survivalists and they just try to get through practice and they try to do just enough to not get cut from the team or pushed into the portal. And again, I lived that for 5 years. And again, my favorite thing about Urban Meyer when he showed up is for those guys that were survivalists and minimalists, their lives became very uncomfortable. And I was like, build the statue of Urban right now. Because there are a lot of guys that when I was there that were just very comfortable. They were very comfortable being average, very comfortable not contributing, wearing the gear. They'd always be the first guys to be in line for the meals and first guys to get their scholarship checks and first guys to take photos on their Instagram off the bus. We didn't have Instagram, we had Facebook back then. But I think it starts with the players. Like, again, if I was those guys looking at me, I'd be like, how can I leave my boys out there because I'm so bad that the defensive coaching staff just refuses to put me in? Like, like look in the mirror. Like, I mean, like what they're doing to Tyreek. I mean, Tyreek is out there killing himself, dying, gasping for air, not because he's fat, not because he's out of shape. Again, he is heavy, but he's also a D tackle. You're supposed to be heavy. But that being said, he's not supposed to play 50 plays, he's supposed to play about 30. And when he goes to the NFL, he'll play 30 plays a game, 35 plays a game. He'll be a first and second down guy, and he'll be a force of nature. He'll be a really good player in the league and make a bunch of money because that's what he's supposed to do. He's not supposed to play 50 plays. But, you know, I mean, obviously, you know, people will blame Larry and say Larry's not developing him or Mickey or whatever. But, you know, at some point, you got to look in the mirror and you got to go play football. You know, and there's a lot of these guys that are letting the entire team down because they're not good enough to play. And again, that's not anyone's fault except for themselves. Because if you're not good enough, go figure it out. And if you got to go keep Larry Johnson there till 11 o'clock at night or, you know, and again, I can't really put on you can put on the recruiters a little bit because they probably spend too much time reading BuckeyeScoop.com's message boards, like I know they like to do. But I would be scouring the portal. I'd be putting out the smoke signals and, you know, and again, if we got to go find a guy, I think we got to find at least one in the portal, at least one who's good. You can't bring in these guys that can't play on the portal that are fifth string defensive tackles. So we got one of those and he doesn't play at all. So, you know, go get Derek Harmon. The kid from Oregon was good. Not great. He was good. Now, again, there was some moronic thing that said he was a top 10 defensive tackle in the country. And I'm just, or no, top 10 player in the country, the guy that took the ball from Quinshon. And like, I watched the whole game and I'm like, if that's one of the 10 best players in college football, then this is the worst year in the history of college football. Because we have 10 better players on our team than that guy. I'm talking about, you know, he's not better than Tyreek, Jack, JT, Josh Simmons, Will Howard, Quinshon, Trey, JJ, Emeka, Caleb Downs. You know, before the game, I would have said, you know, Denzel, who got barbecued. But, you know, again, there's, you know, Seth McLaughlin. Those guys are all better than 55 from Oregon. I watched the whole game. But, you know, I think that, you know, Cade McDonald's good enough to get in. Now, he's a nose. He doesn't play a lot of three technique, but I'd teach him three. Now, he's not going to be a super productive pass rusher there, but he's a guy that needs to play more. But you got to find a guy that can rush a three technique. I mean, I'd even put JT in a three technique and put Caden Curry at end. In pass rushing situations, not on first and second down. Nevada, your thoughts. Larry Daniels, 1, thanks for the 5. Thanks for being an Ultra member as well. If none of the backups are ready to play, who's to play in? Recruiters, players, coaches. Really not one good enough to get in? Question mark, question mark, question mark.
I mean, I think there are guys that can play. You look at this, though. This has been an issue for the past 2 years. And, you know, we highlighted it against the Notre Dame game. And you know, they've done a better job of rotating guys in other positions, but we still, and at least they're rotating them a little bit this time, whereas Notre Dame, they played every snap. So I feel like we've made progress, but to me, it always falls to the players. I'm a blame the players. You know, when stuff goes wrong, I think people like to blame the coaches, but it's easier to, you know, blame a coach because you can identify one guy and yell at him. But if players aren't ready, ultimately, to me, that's on the players. Players got to be ready. But I think we got some guys that are close, and I like Caden McDonald a lot. And yeah, I would throw him in there in any situation that wasn't just a straight pass rush situation. And he seems to flash every time he's on the field. So to me, he's a guy. Him and Caden Curry are the guys that. You know, even Mitchell Melton to a smaller degree. Some of those guys, I just put them out there, get them some snaps, and you know, other guys, Kenyatta Jackson, they got to start being better. They got to start making a difference because you can't just go out there and having plays and then not doing anything. That doesn't do us any good either. So you got to be productive when you're out there. You got to make something happen. And but again, the opening day 2 starts this Saturday. Fresh start. Ohio State number 4 in the country, and let's see where we go from here.
Well, yeah, and again, like, prove me wrong. Like, please, love of God, show me the film. Like, you know, again, some of those guys are getting 10 plays in, and I watch it, and I'm like, all right, he's in. Let's watch it. And it's just like, you know, just you know, a flaccid, slow, lazy pass rush that doesn't do anything for us. It doesn't help us. You know, and I'm talking to some of our backup pass rushers. I'm like, guys, like, go do something. So if you're playing 10 plays. I mean, you should be like you're on fire. I mean, oh my God. If they said, Kirk, you got to go out and play offensive tackle, you only have 10 plays to play the whole day, I'd be like, really? That's it? This is great. I'm going to go out there. I'm going to go balls to the wall, kill guys. Like, you don't have to pace yourself like you to play 70 snaps. Like, I mean, when I play, you know, 65, 70 snaps every week. And it's like, that's just what you got to do, because the O-line you don't rotate unless the guy gets hurt. So I mean, when you're out there, and you're grinding. But again, I think that you got to find a package for the pass rush, and it keeps Jack. I mean, Jack and JT can't come off the field because they're our two best pass rushers, but you got to find out guys that can move them around in the interior and twist and do whatever, because I think that'll make our stuff a little bit more lethal. Brennan Sheely, appreciate you, my dude. Thanks for the 20. Oh, God, did we really miss anything with the Miami kicker who went to Alabama? It seems like he's been a bust there. Honestly, I haven't followed it. I mean, I heard that from somebody. So, again, I think Jaden Felding, again, someone told me he could hit a 60-yard field goal. Now, we haven't seen that yet, but, again, he has 3 years of eligibility left, and God bless, I would have loved for him to have a crack at it at the end of that Oregon game. And he'll get a shot. He'll get a chance to win us a game coming down the stretch here. And I think that they liked him. So, again, it's, again, the kid wanted to grow at Miami of Ohio, which is very tough to do. But that's also, you're kicking in a stadium that's got 6,000 people in it. So, it's a little bit different when you're at the Horseshoe, and, if you miss a kick, then you're going to get beat to death, or if you kick it out of bounds 3 times, you're going to get booed out of the stadium. So, whole different world. But maybe we didn't. And again, maybe that's, if he has truly been a bust, then kudos to the staff for not going on him and paying him. Nevada, your thoughts? Did we miss anything on the Miami kicker who went to Alabama? Seems like he's been a bust there. What are your thoughts?
Well, I mean, fielding's been really good. I mean, other than that 3 kicks in a row out of bounds, which is the weirdest darn thing that I've ever seen in my entire life, and none of us has ever seen it before. And I think that's a record that'll probably never be broken, because you're not going to see somebody kick 4 in a row out of bounds. So that'll stand like Johnny Vandermeer's back-to-back no-hitter record or something like that. But no, I think he's been good. Now he's been good. He's been good in practice. We just haven't had the opportunity to see, is he clutch? And I'm not sure, the odds say that at some point in time he's going to have to deliver a kick for us. And so he's certainly capable. And that's why they didn't go after that kicker. Is they had a lot of belief in fielding. And like you said, he's got eligibility remaining. So we'll see. But like I said, the 3 kicks out of bounds shook me for a bit. But now I actually feel good about him. When he kicks them, he's kicking them all in the end zone, and when he's kicking extra points, and he's putting it right down the middle. So I have no doubt he'll deliver when he needs to.
Yeah, he can't go to Heinegate again before the game and do keg stands.
No,
so he'll be fine. Yeah,
can't do that.
They kept out of Heinegate for the last couple. So now he's straight, baby, straight and narrow, baby. Sit in the cold plunge before the game, my dude. Dot on Karen at Rossbeck. Thank you for the 5. Hope you guys are doing good. Glad the hurricane missed you guys. Appreciate you guys as always. And thanks for being Ultra members. I think the reason that Michigan will not cooperate is because they don't want to lose the Natty in Nevada OH.
I don't
know if that matters, because again, like, it's still, you don't even have to, when there's this much evidence, you don't even have to cooperate. I mean, there's just like, here's the bloody weapon and the fingerprints, the DNA and the hair follicle, and the suicide note, and here's your hard drive that's got searching for how to put sulfuric acid on the dead body to delete it. And I mean, I don't know how much you need other than maybe just a video of the whole thing. But, I think that Michigan's cooked regardless, because again, they had a guy who was the worst thing in the world in Nevada. You and I, there's something that'll instantly come to mind when I say this. The worst thing in the entire world is someone who thinks that they're the smartest person in the room and they're actually the dumbest person on earth. That is the worst thing that there can be. And Connor Stallions is one of those guys, and we've dealt with someone like that. And it's really hard to keep rolling because, again, he left just mountains of evidence behind, and stringers that were just, upset. And, again, and there's all these, and everybody left. I mean, there's just so many things that these guys did wrong. And now they suck too, which is on top of it. It's like, well, we told you they were going to suck. When all of a sudden they're not cheating. They're not the greatest poker players in the world. They actually were cheating the whole time, and you guys didn't know it, but now you do. So everything's different. So what are your thoughts, Nevada? Again, I appreciate you guys both. Don and Karen, you guys are the best. They say, I think the reason that Michigan will not cooperate is because they don't want to lose the Natty. What are your thoughts, Nevada?
Well, there's no question that, non-cooperation, hiding of evidence, not providing stuff in a timely manner to the NCAA. And this is all public. This isn't Nevadabuck opinion or social media chatter. This is like stuff that's in the report. So they actually delayed the hearing because they weren't cooperating. Jim Harbaugh didn't cooperate. Sharon Moore, while under suspension, deleted evidence. So I mean, no, there's no question that they're trying to do everything to protect. But I mean, does anything feel hollower than that national championship? I mean, like you said,
No.
it's going to be deleted. It's got an asterisk. Everybody's gone from it. The memory's gone. The future is completely bleak. And I know for Ohio State fans are like, I would trade it all for one. I would trade the next 50 years for this one. Like, not me, man.
No,
Not me.
you
I mean,
wouldn't. No, nobody would do that. Are you crazy?
Oh, we've had people talking about that all the time. Oh,
no. I'm not saying nobody would say that. I just don't think anybody would actually do that. Oh my god,
it's just so dumb. Because look, as great as 2014 was and winning the championship, man, as soon as that season was over, all I was thinking about is how good are we going to be in 2015. That was my concern.
Same with 2002 to 2003 when we had the whole team back. We had 20 starters back in 03.
You just look forward to the next year, and looking forward to the future is the thing. And for Michigan, if you're a Michigan fan right now, the future. It's over. It's over. You don't have players. You don't have coaches. You have nothing. There's no path forward for you. On top of the NCAA about to hammer you. So was it all worth it? No way. And I know there's a segment of Ohio State fans. It was worth it, Nevada. It was worth it for the. No way, man. No way. They ruined their reputation. Forever, they're going to be known as the cheaters. Forever. For the rest of my life, they will be known as the cheaters. And is anything worth that? No, nothing's worth that.
Well, it's like with the 2002 team and the 14 team. Obviously, great teams won national championships. But like, if you go back in time to 2014, and you're walking into that Oregon game in the AT&T Stadium, and you're just like, hey, if we win tonight, I can guarantee you a win tonight. Whoever shows up in front of you and says, I'll guarantee you a win tonight, but you don't get Ohio State football for the next 50 years. Do you guarantee that? I say no. What am I supposed to do all fall if there's no Ohio State football? Why? So I could look back 10 years ago and say, man, I remember when Ezekiel Elliott and Cardell Jones are 40 years old now, or they beat Oregon and whatever. It's like nobody would do that. I mean, like that 02 team's amazing and 14 team's amazing. They won it all, but it's like you're not going to give up 50 years of watching Ohio State football and all the memories and all of the excitement and all of the studying. And I mean, that's crazy. Oh my God. It's like, I'll give it all up for one title. Like, why? What are you going to do with the rest of your life? Watch Michigan State play? Give me a break. Michael Jarrett. Go Spiros. Michael Jarrett, thanks for the 5. Thanks for being an Ultra fan. What did Spiro say about scum? Not everybody has or wants Twitter. Sent earlier, but don't see sending again. I hope Klatt doesn't have the game Nevada OH. You kind of got into it a couple times, Nevada. Your thoughts on what Spiro said?
Yeah, formally identified who. There have been rumors about who was funding Stallions' operation, linking it to an official Michigan board. That Michigan board then quietly dismissed this Tom Smith from the board, allegedly. And then went to a no comment and covered up their evidence that they had of him funding Stallions, allegedly. So you've got the money, you've got the person, you've got the cover up. So pretty substantial. He was able to fill in a lot of blanks in terms of doing it, and he says he's got it. He says he's got it source confirmed. So when Justin says that, and he's texting you and I at midnight or whatever it was.
I was like, what in the world? I was like,
oh
my God.
Then you know that he's got it. So if I'm a Michigan fan, and you're like, oh no, he doesn't have it, Justin. And I'm like, I wouldn't be too. I remember he did a great video montage today. If you haven't watched his Twitter feed today, it was hysterical. Where all these people were like, "That's not Connor Stallions on the sidelines. That's not Connor Stallions," and he just went thing after thing after thing, and then it's like, yeah, it was Connor Stallions. It's like, when Justin says he has it, I'm not sure if I'm calling. I'm not going to call his bluff because I'm reasonably certain he's got this one.
Oh God, when he was texting us at midnight, I was like, well, I was like, Connor Stearns might have gotten Epstein or something. I was like, why is he blowing my phone up this late at night? And it's like, nope, this is it. So we're gonna see.
Yeah, I got it. Yeah.
It's all gonna come crashing down, and I can't wait. Devin, Ohio 7715. Thanks for being an Ultra member. Thanks for being a wrench, and thanks for being part of the Buckeye Boys. So the 20, my dude, appreciate you, Kirk in Nevada, bringing the heat every night. Why is everybody talking about officials giving Miami 3 wins? Buckeye Boys 815 chat. You guys make sure you guys head over to their thing and make sure you spell Buckeye Boys with a Z because Devin is hood. So he has to make sure that you guys know that he is tough like that. He's from the mean streets of Tallahassee. 24-25 Natty Lock, Nevada OH. Nevada, have you noticed what the ACC's been doing in these Miami games where these officials have just been, I think they've been given an edict. Hey, we want to have somebody in the playoffs, so we got to feed Miami these wins. They're like they're the Kansas City Chiefs of college football. Like, no, there's a team in the universe that gets more calls than Kansas City because, again, these big wigs who control the NFL are like, well, if we go to the Super Bowl with these guys or the playoffs or Arrowhead home game, guess who's going to be in the luxury suite of Clark Hunt? It's going to be Taylor Swift. And we get to put her on the TV, and our ratings get to skyrocket because a bunch of 12-year-olds are going to watch the game, and they don't even know what football is, but they know that she's going to be there. They'll put the camera on her 4 times a game. So again, Miami
four times, 40 times, dude.
45 times a game. She made Travis get a bowl haircut, man. I feel bad for the dude. But your thoughts on this Miami stuff, Nevada?
Well, yeah, no, Miami has been the benefactor of some of the most horrific calls that I've ever. I mean, there have been some that have just been absolutely like, I just don't have any words, but I'm all about that because, I just think that, somebody's going to draw Miami in the playoff, and why not Ohio State? And that is about the closest thing to a free win you're going to get in that 12-team playoff is playing Miami because they're not good, and they're going to get a high seed. And let's just hope Ohio State gets them. So, yeah, I'm all about the refs continuing to prop them up. And let's just hope Ohio State somehow draws the lucky straw and we get Miami in the playoff because we'll mollywhack those guys.
Could you imagine the Horseshoe hosting the U in a December playoff game? Would that not be the greatest thing of all time? Oh, my God. I hope it's snow. The cocoa would be flowing. There'd be a big moat of cocoa around your suite. Giant moat installed instantly.
The game's not there, dude. The game's going to be in Indy. We're playing in a dome, man. We're not playing in. Cold outside and stuff like that. What are you talking about, Mister? I played back in 2003 when the elements were part of the thing. No, we're going inside. We're going to go to the Ford Dome in Detroit, or we're going to go to Indy. Or we're going to go to the Astrodome in Houston and bring it out of retirement and play down there or something like that. But we're not playing outside, nutty boy. That's a bunch of doodle squat dog.
That's your boy. You got his email saved in your contacts. So I don't hear anything. That's your boy right there. We are so soft that we could not possibly play in snow. We have to play indoors because we are a pudding soft program. That is what we are. I wish you to say we're the Ohio State Soft Eyes, but led by Gene Smith, big pudding pot boy. Devin also went to Oregon for 10 days, and I was like, that's a long time to be in Oregon. Nevada, is that a long time to be in Oregon? I mean, you used to do a lot of business in Portland when you owned the Winterhawks, but like that's a long time to be in Portland, isn't it? Or Oregon in general.
Oregon's beautiful. I mean, man, the Oregon. I mean, it's historic, and Oregon's a lot more than just Portland. If you were just in Portland, yeah, that'd be a long time to spend in there. But up there, the Pacific Northwest, man, if you haven't spent time up there, it's a special place. So yeah, 10 days is a long time. But Devin's a warrior. He's a throwback to an old time when people explored, and he probably went out there and explored the Cumberland River and ran the rapids and did all that stuff like that. So I salute him.
Yeah, he also took a little homegirl with him too, which I was like, 10 days is a long time with one of those. I'm just like, man, I was like, dude, I don't know if you want to bring sand to the beach if you're out in Oregon. I mean, you might be able to find you a little hippie something.
No. Wait a second. If you've ever seen the women out in Oregon, bring one from home, okay? Because I'm just telling you.
So they're not like they're not like the cheerleaders. No.
I operated in Portland for years, long time.
A lot of Birkenstocks and dreadlocks.
Because you know how I like to, you know how I like to go out and I like to go out and have a good time, stuff like that. I might have seen 2 good-looking girls in my entire, maybe one. I'm not kidding. I have never seen such a barren place for that. So yes, bring sand to the beach from that one, man.
Bring the whole dump. Bring the dump truck.
Oh my
Drive
God.
the dump truck. Oh my God.
It's so bad. The ugliest women in the world are up there in Portland. They all look like Granny Hawkins.
Granny Hawkins sitting with the cob pipe ready to roll. I love that. So good job, Devin. See, Devin played it right. He's probably texting you, Nevada, saying, "Hey, do I need something?" He's like, "Oh, you
bring your own, man.
Birkenstocks and like white ladies with dreadlocks walking around serving coffee, sitting on yoga mats all day." I went up there and I was like, I was like, whew, rough. I was like, get me to Vegas quick. D Sonny, thanks for the 5. Can you tell us what type of player Dustin Fox was? Saw him on TV the other day. Players that started as true sophomores always stick with me. Yeah, Dustin, he was a good player. He ended up being a mid-round pick. He tested really well. He was always a kind of I don't want to say he was like a weird athlete, but he was like a guy that could jump out of the gym, like literally had a 40-inch vertical at the combine. But he was kind of built like a jogger. Like he's more ripped now than he was then when he was like a college player and an NFL player. Now he's all cut up, and he went through some health issues and some personal stuff, and he's sober now and he's doing really good as a commentator. And but he was a good teammate, good captain. I mean, we had a tough year in his senior year in 04. We kind of sucked, and I'm sure that was kind of tough on him because when you're a captain, you don't want to lose 4 games, but we did. But he was a good player. I mean, like I said, he started opposite Chris Gamble, so obviously every team in the world is going to pick on Dustin when you got Gamble on the other side. So he had to play boundary corner, which is tough and a lot of quick stuff. So, but like I said, he won national champion as a starter, so can't take that away from him. And he was I think a 3rd-round pick and was in the league for a couple years and did his thing. So. He's doing good now. Like I think he's off radio now. He does the color stuff. So, like I said, again, when you beat Miami and you're part of that team, then that's a great career. And like I said, I'm happy for his success because I think he does a nice job as a color commentator. Nevada D Sunny, thank you for the 5. He says, "Can you tell me what type of player Dustin Fox was? I saw him on TV the other week, and players that started as true sophomores always stick with me. What were your thoughts on Dustin?"
Was he the last white corner at Ohio State?
He might be the last white corner ever. That's not a walk-on.
Yeah. I mean, there haven't been too many. I mean, Donnie Nicky was a safety. So, yeah. I mean, he's the throwback to the Jason Sehorn age of
Cooper DeJean. Cooper DeJean.
Cooper DeJean.
He's holding it down now, boy.
I thought Dustin was, like you said, I thought he was a sneaky good athlete and a guy that really competed hard, and hey, good player at Ohio State. Had a nice career.
That was a really good. You almost filled up the entire white football player scouting report bingo card there when he said he worked really hard, coach's son, film junkie, weight room warrior. More quick than fast. That was oh god, those are the best. We'd always go through like what is like the white guy, especially like the white skill guy scouting report, like receiver, DB. It's like works really hard.
Coach on the field.
Coach on the field. That's like the one that's right in the middle of the bingo card. That's like the free. That's like the free space. Gets everybody lined up. We'll be a coach after he's done. Oh my God, there's so many of them. Like always on time. Good academics, good character. married, like the whole 9 years. Like they didn't write that about me, but I'm just saying, like, well, the academic part they did. But I just, oh my god, that's so funny. D Fox, that's a blast from the past. Michael Jerry, thanks for the 5. Nevada, do you take this? Now this is the ultimate square off in the championship battle of foxes. Do you go B Fox or D Fox?
No, B Fox. B Fox is the greatest. B Fox is the greatest intern ever in the history of Ohio State. The greatest intern. And his story is kind of like some of the great unknown people that kind of operated in the shadows. B Fox is one of the great ones. So B Fox, I salute you. From Nevadabuck to you, I salute you, buddy. You're the best.
We're running a reverse on the kickoff. Like, oh wow, you are wow, Nevada, you're really good. I mean, imagine him in like the DraftKings era. Will they run a reverse on the kickoff? Plus 10,000.
Spam that doodle squad.
The doodle squad. You'd be calling all your kids and all their boyfriends and girlfriends. Hey, tell them to all load up on this because my Bovada's turned off because I'm the syndicate. I'm the syndicate. Michael Jarrett, thanks for the 5. I was hoping he found something on Blake Corum being ineligible. Nevada OH. Well, that seems like a layup to me, Nevada, because like you can't form an LLC without somebody knowing about it. Like, I mean, I can't like put Elon Musk on the Buckeye Scoop LLC. It's like, wow, you're partners with Elon Musk. Well, Elon doesn't know. That is called a felony. You can't do that one. And again, I think Blake Corum was completely in on it. I think Connor Stallions, I don't think he just went and randomly picked a star running back. I think he said, hey, Blake, I can make you a couple extra grand a month or a week, and I do everything, and I just use your name, and this will be great. And I'll have all these vacuums out there on the front porch ready to go for all of the people that want to use vacuums, I guess. I don't know. So, I didn't hear anything on Corum. Nevada, Michael Jarrett again, he says, I was hoping that he found something on Blake Corum being ineligible. What are your thoughts?
No, he's continuing to dig on that. There's a lot of people continuing to dig on that. It's getting to stuff that you can prove, because, you want to move this from speculation and coincidence and, a lot of circumstantial evidence to something that you can prove. And Justin's one of those guys that's big on proof. So, but he's continuing to dig on that, but he feels like he's sourced the money for Stallions, and that's pretty huge. But yeah, the Corum LLC, which again was not the vacuum cleaner business, this was the BC2 housing or whatever that was. So a different LLC. It's so confusing with Connor. But yeah, I absolutely believe Blake Corum was ineligible for that season due to that involvement with Connor Stallions and that. But we're in the process of trying to prove that. So stay tuned.
All right, Nevada, here's a question for you. Brennan Shelley, thank you for the 10. Nevada, can we have one big money bet this weekend that is guaranteed exclusive? Nevada, please. Do we have the Poppy action up yet or no? I don't think so.
Yeah, no. I do have the Poppy action, but I'm not sure if I'm gonna
if it's out yet.
I'm not sure. I'm checking right now to see if it's out yet. If you're on Poppy's thing, you know what I'm talking about right now. But there is a play. Poppy does have a play this weekend on the big. First of all, the UFC card this weekend is absolutely silly. I think the UFC
it's
card,
awesome.
I think it's better than 300. It's crazy. But he does have a play. I'm not going to give out the name, but he does have a play because I just don't want to burn him because and this is his business in terms of doing it. If you're on as part of his Telegram, you've already received the play. He'll be posting it. But he does have one that he really, 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 really likes this weekend. He'll probably have more action. But just watch Dagestan Poppy's. If you haven't subscribed to Dagestan Poppy's Twitter, it's Dagestan Dagestan Poppy Papi. Subscribe to that. He puts out the stuff for free. Who does that? Who gives away his stuff for free? If you want it early, he charges you a nominal amount, but he'll put it out for free, an hour before the card. So check out his Twitter. Huge Ohio State fan, and if you just send him a DM, he'll probably just give you the pick or something like that. I mean, just a really, really nice guy and a super talented handicapper, and a 11% ROI handicapper over his last 1,000 bets, which for you bettors, you know how obscene that is, and it's all tracked action, so you can all track it. But go to Dagestan Poppy for if you want to be a winner this weekend.
And we love to be winners. All right, Nevada,
Yes,
I think
are.
that's our last chat. We can get out of here. Any final thoughts? We wrap this thing up.
Pressure, going to bring the pressure, and going to bring the pressure in a lot of different ways. And I think it's a great match. It's been a long couple of weeks since the barbecue announcement, BIA barbecue announcement, and in the words of Granny Hawkins, I know that's a bunch of doodle squat talk, but Jim Knowles does look like Granny Hawkins too.
I mean, he does. They have the exact same facial, like that oval shape and stuff, and complexion.
Are those pumpkins over there to the right? Do you like pumpkins? It was like Halloween or something like that.
Well, no, she's vegan, so she eats pumpkin seeds and tobacco. So she's vegan like Knowles too.
And Mel Kiper eats pumpkin pies too. So see, look at this.
He does.
It's all coming together
every day.
He does eat pumpkin. Yes. Yeah. So yeah, I love Granny Hawkins. That's my final word.
I mean, she looks just like Jim Knowles. I absolutely love that we discovered that tonight. This is great. It's the greatest show of all time. Thank you guys so much for being a part of everything we do. Again, another great night on BuckeyeScoop.com. Appreciate you guys being a part of it. Thank you for the super chats. Again, if you guys enjoy this content, please leave us a like, click subscribe. Also click that little alert bell. Again, if you guys want to really help us out, subscribe to our show on Apple Podcasts and on Spotify. If you're on Apple, your iPhone, your iPad, subscribe. If you guys are on your tablets, you get on Spotify and subscribe. Again, I appreciate you guys. Android users use Spotify as well. But thank you guys. I hope you guys enjoyed the show. This is a monster show. We appreciate you guys for being absolutely outstanding. An amazing chat as always. Thank you to all the leaders of the chat. Make sure you guys just go check out the Buckeye Boys. They're rolling along right now. But I appreciate you guys so very much. So thank you so much, Buckeye Nation. And thank you, Scoop family. We will talk to you guys tomorrow. You guys have a great rest of your night. Go Bucks.